your involvement in the crime intelligence related investigations. Chair, uncharacteristic to seek
let us start.
But
let us start. Were you going to say?
I was going to say, because this is the second half of his statement.
Let's start. Yeah.
No problem.
We can stop at 11.
All right. Mr. Soka, then we can move to paragraph 33, where you deal with your involvement in the crime intelligence related matters.
That's correct. Before dealing with the detail, I stated at the outset that I had no direct or substantial involvement with these matters. I was not included in the team, and in the ordinary course was excluded. Sometimes Chief Perumal would mention something to me in passing about a case and how good evidence he had obtained. I think there were a number of meetings where I was invited, which I cannot remember details of. I came to learn of aspects of the matters largely when complaints were reported. Given the position I hold and the leadership role I ordinarily play, the exclusion was unusual and had not previously occurred in my time at IDAC. I was drawn in only in discrete issues. There were, in essence, 4 occasions on which I had involvement. Assisting Mr. Rapes to obtain the docket, a meeting convened by the ID to discuss the CI investigation and a report to the minister, a conflict between Advocate Ramsamy and Chief Perumal, and the disciplinary and legal matter concerning Mr. Rapes.
I think it's important to mention which minister. Please reread.
Minister Mkun. Minister of Police Mkun.
I just meant of police. You just said minister.
Minister of Police Mkun.
Thank you.
You can then deal with the first issue, paragraph 36 of your statement.
Yes. So approximately a month later, in January 2025, the ID convened a meeting. Which I don't know what I was trying to say.
To
which I was called. Yes. She said the meeting was to discuss the CI investigation, and that she was required to report or write something to the Minister of Police, Minister Mkun, and to send correspondence to the Chief of Staff, Mr. Nkabinde. The meeting was short, did not go into detail of the case. When the ID mentioned Mr. Nkabinde, I alerted her to his history. In my assessment, Mr. Nkabinde is a dishonest man, and I explained to her there was evidence, including data analysis by our data analyst in the Blue Lights investigation matter, indicating that Mr. Nkabinde was working with or was colluding with the suspects in the Blue Lights matter and against that investigation. I advised
you. Sorry. You use the definite article, the Blue Lights matter.
Yes.
Which Blue Lights matter is this?
So the Blue Lights matter, Chair, it's an investigation that we started whilst we were in IPID. It's on high-level police corruption. The suspects in that, or the accused, because now they're appearing in court on that matter, are generals in the police. General Pahlane, General Ngwenya, it's quite a number of them, and brigadiers and so forth. So that, for me, as I indicate here, it was a concern that she will be.
All I wanted was a reader of the transcript must know what blue lights matter you are talking about.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right.
Is it called blue lights matter because it relates to the subs general, or it has to do with procurement relating to installation of blue lights?
It has to do with procurement and installation of blue lights to police vehicles.
Thank you.
Mrs. Soko, please just clarify paragraph 36. You say the ID convened a meeting to which you were called. She said the meeting was to discuss the CI investigation, and she was required to report to or write something for the Minister of Police, Minister Mkhunu. That report to the Minister of Police, did it relate to the CI investigation or something else?
To the CI investigation.
And did she tell you why she needed to report to the minister on the CI investigation?
Chair, I think she mentioned, and I'm speaking under correction because it's something that happened a long time ago, but my memory serves me well. It was about the fact that she had received correspondence from the minister about this CI investigation.
Did you see that correspondence?
No, I had not seen it.
Thank you.
And in this instance, you were at the last sentence.
I advised her to be
Advised
careful.
her.
Yes. I advised her to be careful and said that I would not advise her to report to or through him, meaning Mr. Nkabinde. The ID asked me to obtain information from the data analyst so that she would have something she could work with, and so that she could advise the minister or the minister's advisor. I did so and provided it to her. The information I obtained from the data analyst is marked MS3. It is a document I provided to her showing Nkabinde's collusion with the accused in our investigation. I understood that there had at one stage been a consideration to charge Mr. Nkabinde, but that this was not done. The DPP at the time, Advocate Law, decided to defer the question of Mr. Nkabinde and focus on the matters involving the police generals and other police officials and service provider, in part out of concern about possible Section 342A of the Criminal Procedure Act application to remove the matter from the court roll. I was informed of these decisions. I was not at the ID at the time when they were taken. My concern is that this matter was not dealt with in the normal way. Ordinarily, even a matter received by the ID herself would be referred to me or one of the DDPP colleagues or the chiefs to evaluate whether it falls within the mandate and to advise her before she takes a decision. Here, the ID received the matter and it appears took the decision on it herself. The operational manual, especially as it relates to case intake, was not fully operationalized. Before the ID's testimony at the ad hoc commission, there were very few Section 27 referrals that came through. If they did come through, they would be received by her office. I specifically recall the speaker matter, where she called a meeting about the matter and instructed that it be considered and appointed a team to deal with it. Whereas with the CI matter, I only learned of them when they were already authorized. They were not discussed with me before they were authorized. I did not see Honorable Adams' Section 27 referral either. Even when Advocate Surunya asked me about it, I informed him that I did not see it. By way of context, on referrals generally, historically, most of our matters flowed from the Zondo Commission, Mpati Commission, and the Nugent Commission, in respect of which the former ID had already granted sweeping authorizations under the presidential proclamation establishing the ID. Attached is the presidential proclamation marked MS4. There was therefore no need for Section 27 referral. As per practice, most matters are referred to the DDPPs, who then prepare a submission to the ID for authorization. Most matters in IDAC space were authorized as a result of the presidential proclamation. The table below illustrates this point. So the table shows that the security cluster and commission matters are 137 in number, which represent 88% of matters that are within IDAC. And the other IDAC mandate, those are the matters that would have come either from other law enforcement agencies or through a Section 27 referral. They are 18 in number, representing only 12% of the matters that came to IDAC.
Mr. Seseko.
A matter, sorry, Ms. Bolt. We now know that IDAC received a Medicare 24 referral. Where does it fall in your table?
It will fall under the IDAC matters, IDAC mandate matters.
Mr. Seseko, you say that very few Section 27 referrals. From previous witnesses, what we heard was that there was only one other referral prior to this. Is that your recollection? And that would have been the speaker matter. And that the one that comes under Medicare would have been the third.
No, as I said, I'm working from our register. This statistical information comes from the register. As I said, that these IDAC mandate matters, which are 18, would be matters that either come from law enforcement, which they refer to us, or they come as a result of Section 27 referral. The ones that are Section 27 referral that I can think of right away is like your speaker matter, your Project Golden, and which one am I missing now? Yes, the Medicare one.
Does the register delineate with that number of 18 which ones were Section 27 referrals and which ones emanated from other law enforcement agencies?
No, the register will show that these matters are the matters that came after those presidential proclamation matters, which are mainly from the Zondo Commission, the party.
To the final decision about what is to happen, i.e. you mediated this meeting and then you indicated that there were several other meetings where you had to talk to either.
Yes. As I said, that it would sort of be a complaint session, you know. Chief Perumal come to me to complain. Advocate Ramsamy has made a submission that there is no case and all that, and he believes there's a case, you know, those kind of things, you know. So when we discuss these matters and trying to find out where the fault line lies, you know, you have people who've got strong opinions about these matters, you know, and the ID would then take a decision to say, this is how it must be done, and it ultimately will be done that way. So that is why the decision to proceed the way these matters were proceeded with, the decision to enroll, all these decisions were done by the ID.
Thank you. We can then proceed to the next topic, which is the disciplinary and legal matter concerning Mr. Rapesu. That's at paragraph 47 of your affidavit.
Yeah. The last occasion on which I was involved arose when the ID convened a meeting and informed us that she had received a call from Mr. Nkabinde. Mr. Nkabinde alleged that Mr. Rapesu had telephoned him and informed him that IDAC was conducting an investigation against him and that Mr. Brian Badiache was the investigator. In other words, Mr. Rapesu had leaked information to Mr. Nkabinde. Present at the meeting, me, Chief Perumal, Mr. Rapesu, and Mr. Rapesu. Mr. Rapesu denied that he had called Mr. Nkabinde, deposed to an affidavit confirming that he never done so, and offered his cell phone and to take a polygraph test to demonstrate his innocence. I was tasked by the ID to refer the matter to our Security Management Services, SMS, to arrange a polygraph. The SMS began the process by referring the request to the State Security Agency, but then reverted to us to say the State Security Agency does not conduct polygraph tests for internal disciplinary matters, and that if IDAC wished to have one conducted, it would have to procure the services itself. That was never achieved, and the matter was left there. Mr. Rapesu continued to ask about progress, and I gave him what I knew through his supervisor. I was later told that he had lodged the grievance about the issue. I subsequently learned that the grievance had been dismissed on the grounds of a time lapse. At the time I was asked to facilitate the polygraph, I received a report from one of our investigators, Mr. Ndombalo, who had been tasked to investigate the alleged leak. The report recorded that Mr. Nkabinde was refusing to provide a sworn statement about the alleged leak. The ID wrote a letter to Mr. Nkabinde calling on him to provide a statement, and if he's not willing, indicate so in writing. Attached is a letter from the ID marked MS6. Mr. Nkabinde responded to the ID letter with the email dated 27 March 2025. The email is attached as MS7. The ID further wrote to the advocate, Pikoli, raising frustration about Mr. Nkabinde's failure to provide a statement. The letter is attached as MS8. Mr. Mbalo expressed that Mr. Rapesu would have leaked the information. Alternatively, that Mr. Binang would have done so, allegedly because he learned that I revealed information to Mr. Binang. Attached is a report by Mr. Mbalo marked MS9. On my reading of the report, I was convinced that it insinuated that I'm also a suspect for leaking the information. So when communicating with SMS, I advised them that I was also volunteering to be subjected to polygraph test based on paragraph 4.2 of the findings of the report. Attached is the email dated 25 June 2025 to SMS marked MS10 communicating same. The obvious difficulty with that report is that the allegation was that ID herself received the call from Mr. Nkabinde. There's no indication in the report that a statement was obtained from the ID about the allegations. And to obtain the records of the alleged call to her, nor were the records of Mr. Rapesu, Mr. Binang, or me obtained. I recently learned a further step that I regard as irregular. While I was on sick leave in January 2026, an investigation was authorized within IDAC in terms of Section 2813 of the NPA Act against Mr. Rapesu for leaking information. The authorization was for the contravention of Section 41(6) of the NPA Act. The application memo indicates that it is from Chief Perumal, even though his signature is not in the memo, and it is authorized by the ID. Attached marked MS11 is the application for authorization. This offense is definitely not within the IDAC mandate and should not have been authorized in IDAC. I regard this as odd for 4 reasons. First, Section 41(6) investigation of this kind is not an IDAC mandate. Second, the ID herself received the initial complaint from Mr. Nkabinde. From Mr. Nkabinde would appear to be conflicted in authorizing an investigation arising from it.
She's actually the complainant because
Yes.
Mr. Nkabinde is not the complainant.
Yes, yes.
So in a 41(6), the ID is the complainant.
Yes, yes. So that's why I'm raising that. Third, Chief Perumal, as a witness in the investigation, cannot apply for authorization. Fourth, so maybe to explain this, when the ID called that meeting, she indicated that when she received the call, she was with Chief Perumal and Chief Investigator Padiachi. So they had that call or the conversation between her and Nkabinde, which makes them witnesses in this investigation. So that's why I'm saying that Chief Perumal, as a witness in that investigation, cannot apply for the authorization. Fourth,
Had the ID put the call on speaker, or how would they have heard?
yes, that's what she indicated.
All right.
Fourth, there is no indication that the former IPID officials who are alleged to have attended a meeting with me were approached for their statement. When I returned from leave, Chief Perumal briefed me on the referrals he had dealt with in my absence. So those referrals are those that will be on MS5 that he had dealt with, but he did not mention this one. As I was preparing my affidavit for the commission, I called the IO, Mr. Mbalo, to inquire about this matter. He confirmed that the investigation was authorized and that he was going to recommend that the investigation be closed as there is no evidence to implicate Mr. Rapesu in wrongdoing. I called for the file and established that there is a statement from Mr. Nkabinde dated 27 November 2025. Mr. Nkabinde, who had refused to provide a statement, now deposed to an affidavit which expanded the allegation to implicate me, asserting in substance that on learning of his appointment as Chief of Staff, I had convened a meeting and asked investigators to investigate him and to find anything they could against him. I deny that allegation. Mr. Nkabinde's statement is attached and marked MS12. What I find odd is that the colleagues who are alleged to have been in a meeting with me are not approached for their statement to corroborate this allegation. I also established that only a subpoena for the cell phone records of Mr. Nkabinde and Rapesu were requested. They were analyzed by Digital Forensic South Africa, and their report confirmed that there is no record of the calls either from Mr. Rapezu's phone or Mr. Nkabinde's phone. No cell phone records were obtained for the ID phone to confirm that the call was indeed made to her.
Myself into these matters.
I've been asked why, given my position and the leadership role I ordinarily play, I did not raise concerns at the time or ask to be included in these matters. The answer lies partly in my own history. During my time at IPID, I was involved in serious conflicts. I stood my ground and I paid a heavy price for it. I was suspended in 2015 and subjected to a disciplinary process and criminally charged, which I regarded as unlawful. The charges related to IPID report concerning the rendition of Zimbabwean nationals. In August 2016, I was dismissed in absentia after being found guilty of gross misconduct at a time when I was hospitalized for depression. My request for a postponement had been refused, and I never gave evidence in my own defense. Following the Constitutional Court finding that the suspension of the then Executive Director, Mr. McBride, was unlawful, he was reinstated to his position. I also challenged my dismissal through the Bargaining Council and was reinstated. I was suspended again in March 2020 by an incoming acting head of IPID, and again had approached the Bargaining Council. I was then reinstated. I testified before the Zondo Commission about police corruption and about political interference that I believe lay behind my suspension. These experiences were costly to me, personally and financially, and to my family. I'm 61 years old, near the end of my career. When I found myself excluded from the CI matters, I made a deliberate decision not to force my way in. I took the view that if the ID did not involve me, it was not because it did not want me involved. No, it was because it did not want me involved. And I respected that. There is in any event a practice at IDAC that if one is not on a matter, one does not seek to know its details, and there is a related principle of neutrality. I let the matter be, and I did not ask ID why she did not involve me. There was also a further, more recent consideration. On the 7th November 2025, I was kidnapped while driving home. I was assaulted and robbed. My attackers took my state-issued laptop, cell phones, and abandoned me near Rabridge in the early hours of the 8th November. I reported the matter to the police and received medical treatment. While I cannot say with certainty if this event is related to my work, however, there were two distinct occurrences during the robbery that makes me suspicious. First, the kidnappers demanded a firearm. When I told them I did not have one, they assaulted me so much as if they knew I should have one. Second, when they took all the gadgets, laptop, cell phone, tablets, Samsung watch, they asked for PIN numbers and passwords of all these gadgets. However, on the work laptop, they specifically demanded that I write the password on one of the kidnappers' phone, and they took the laptop to a house. They only did this with the laptop. This occurred against a backdrop of public allegations against IDAC and its leadership and of threats directed at the unit following the CI arrest. That experience had affected how I approach my work and my own safety. In the circumstances, rather than insert myself into these matters from which I had been excluded, I confined myself to assisting on discrete issues on which I was asked to assist, and to advising those members of the team who approached me for guidance. I otherwise left the ID as the head of the unit and my supervisor to deal with these matters as she saw fit. I wish to make one matter clear. I do not say that there was no case to be investigated against CI officials. My concern is not with whether there was a case, but with the manner in which these matters were handled, and in particular with the departure from the established intake and investigation process. Even where there is a case to answer, it must be dealt with in accordance with the process, and where the process is not followed, the integrity of the outcome is placed at risk.
Before you go to the conclusion,
the manual, don't you need more than just operationalizing it? Because that's quite a soft position to take, and it's still subject to human conduct. You can get another ID who simply ignores it. Isn't the solution that it becomes part of the set of documents which are policies and protocols, and if you don't comply, there will be consequences? Because as matters stand, I understood from an earlier discussion that there doesn't seem to be any repercussions for non-compliance with the manual. But if you do have repercussions, be it disciplinary action, it doesn't necessarily have to be criminal prosecution, but if you treat it as part of your policy documents or protocols, whatever name you give it, and it's clear that if you don't comply, isn't that the position you should be advocating for?
I would agree, Commissioner, that yes. I think the manual as it stands is not strong enough in that area in terms of consequences. And I think already, as I said, that there are discussions about it, that there must be an improvement to it so that everyone complies with its provisions without exception.
And there's consequence.
And there's consequences.
If you don't comply. Yes. Okay, all right. And then lastly from me, in paragraph 65, you say, my evidence at the end, you say my evidence concerns the manner in which a particular set of matters was handled, which in my view was an outlier and not the institution as a whole. I must confess that I'm outside IDAC, but the bit that we have had from other witnesses, I would be very cautious, and I think I would suggest you are too, being inside as head of investigations, about how far this, which you call an outlier, goes. We have become aware of crime intelligence matters because General Mkwanazi held a media conference. It resulted in a commission of inquiry. The question that I would ask is, well, how far does this go? What else are you not aware of? For example, you haven't spoken to what Mr. Rapesu testified to, that there's an investigation about a 50 million rand that was supposed to be taken by General Lushaba, and he says when he called you about it, you didn't know anything about it. So you do have an idea of what's happening, but maybe in fact the reset that IDAC is doing should include a real deep inquiry into how far does this go? What else was being investigated? Because that's a question that I asked myself as a commissioner, that we've had evidence here, but what else was being investigated off the books that you will not find on record of crime intelligence? What else was the ID involved with? What was Mr. Perumal involved with other than what we now know? So my suggestion would be to be cautious about, well, what we know is the outlier. Maybe it's worse than that. And until you've satisfied yourselves that this is all there was that has come out of the commission, you should be more cautious with that statement.
My recollection of the evidence throughout this IDAC stream of testimony. So you say a huge amount was involved because there were several forklifts. So your point about several forklifts and therefore a huge amount of money falls away is just one forklift.
I see what is in the presentation, Commissioner. Yeah. I'm talking about what was presented, as I recall it.
But how can that be? How can it be that when the testimony of everybody, including Advocate Johnson and your other colleagues, everybody has been talking about one forklift? How could they at the presentation have spoken about many forklifts? I'm inclined not to believe that there ever was such a presentation, Mr. SESEKO.
Chair, I may be mistaken, but that's how I recall it.
If you are wrong, would there be a basis for having thought that this fell under IDAC's mandate?
No, it wouldn't be.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. I recall that when Commissioner Khumalo asked the Advocate Johnson, what does the procurement of a forklift that wasn't delivered have to do with IDAC's mandate, she too couldn't explain. Now, while we're dealing with this meeting, let's leave aside the aspects of the 27 referral. One of the major things that happens in this meeting is, and you note that also in your affidavit, is the issue around reporting to the minister comes up. And in particular, the ID indicates that she would do so through the office of the Chief of Staff, Mr. Nkabinde. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And when that happens, you then indicate to her that it's not a good idea because Mr. Nkabinde is compromised. Correct. Right. And then the ID asks for information related to this. And then correct. You agree that you would provide this information.
That is correct.
What did you understand that she would do with this information once obtained?
That she would alert the minister and the advisor to the minister, Advocate Pikoli.
And to your knowledge, was that the only thing that was intended with this information?
Well, at the time of the meeting, that was what was said. But subsequently, when I provided her with the information, then she instructed that senior investigator Padiachi should look into those allegations.
And on what basis would senior investigator Padiachi be looking into those matters?
Chair, I assumed, I assumed that because they have been raised, and the documentation that I've shown her or given to her that come from the analysts show that there is that collusion. I must hasten to say, as I've indicated in my statement, that This is a matter, what I refer to as the blue lights investigation. And as I understood, before I even went to IDAC, that there was a consideration to charge Mr. Nkabinde related to that matter on what was discovered during that investigation. However, the DDPP responsible for that matter at the time took a view that they shouldn't include that, because as I understood, there was an addition to the accused before, and there was a fear that when they add further accused, they might face a 342A application by the defense. So they didn't want the matter to be removed from the court roll. And the view that was taken at the time was that the matter will be dealt with later outside of the blue lights investigation.
Mr. Soko, IDAC and NPA, they account to the Minister of Justice. Did you not find it odd that the ID is reporting back to the Minister of Police in relation to ongoing investigations where the Minister of Police is not the complainant? Because by the time you went to the meeting, you must have known that according to the presentation, Mr. Adams is the complainant. So did you not find it odd that you are now assisting the ID to report to the Minister of Police on matters that have nothing to do with him? And is that not interference in IDAC matters?
Well, commissioners, it would seem like that. However, at the time, because I think she would have mentioned that there was a letter from the minister, then I think it was the context why she had to report to the minister. That's how I understood it.
Assuming there was a letter from the minister, do you not find it odd that the IDAC, is reporting to the Minister of Police on ongoing investigations when he's not the complainant? The complainant is Mr. Adams. So why does IDAC report to the Minister of Police on ongoing investigations?
Commissioners, in retrospect, I realized that maybe I should have raised that, but I did not raise it. And maybe it should not have been the case.
And you assisted. It's not a question of just you not raising it. It's a question of you saying, actually, let me assist you. Let me get you dead on Nkabinde to show the minister that he's not the person we should be reporting through.
My view, commissioners, at the time was that based on the history that I know of Nkabinde, I was worried about that communication that goes through Mr. Nkabinde. So that is how I looked at it.
My issue is that your worry is misplaced. Your worry should have been, why are we reporting to the Minister of Police on ongoing IDAC investigations? Forget who his secretary or whose chief of staff is. We should not be reporting to the Minister of Police on ongoing investigations where he's not even the complainant. The complainant is Mr. Adams.
I take the point, Commissioner.
What you did is you opened a line of investigation in relation to Mr. Nkabinde, which you later complain about, and you say you subsequently learned that a 41.6 or a 28.13, I can't remember which is which, has been authorized in relation to the leak to Mr. Nkabinde.
I'm not sure I understand.
The investigation to find out what cases Mr. Nkabinde is involved in, and that report which you attached to your statement, you came up with that because you said you don't trust Mr. Nkabinde, he's dishonest. The ID then said to you, find information for me, which you then did and you submitted to her.
That is correct.
And as a result of that, somebody told Mr. Nkabinde, we don't know who, that IDAC is investigating him.
That is
the
correct.
domino effect of that is that the 41.6 in relation to one of your colleagues was then authorized, which you say is unlawful.
That is correct.
Yes. So you set it in motion.
Yes, in a way, it appears like that, yes.
Yeah, may I just also raise my concern about this? That you became complicit to an investigation into Nkabinde, because there is now an investigation, because you said what you did. But you participate in that investigation because you go and find information on something that you volunteered. You're the one that volunteers it. And then there's an investigation, but that investigation is not founded on anything in the act. The investigation, there's no complaint, there's nothing. But you're all happy to meet Mr. Nkabinde on the back of what you have said, and you don't have a problem with that. You're the second in charge. You don't say, hang on, I was just sharing for purposes of communication. Because if that's all you were doing, as a rule, as the one who holds the rules and who should be holding your people, your investigators, to your manual and to your rules, you in fact become complicit in an investigation into Mr. Nkabinde. And from where I'm sitting, it's no different from what Mr. Perumal has been doing, which is conducting investigations or participating in investigations that do not comply with your manual, that actually do not have a basis in your act. Because this which you are now investigating about Mr. Nkabinde, it doesn't arise from the act. It doesn't. And in that way, you put yourself in a position where you are no better than what, in fact, Ms. Johnson does on this. You're just as liable, or should be just as liable on this. If it's a point of criticism that an investigation was conducted on Mr. Nkabinde, it applies equally to you. Do you want to comment?
Yes, Commissioner. As I said earlier, that the issue of Mr. Nkabinde was part of the Blue Lights investigation. Now, at the time, as I've indicated, that the DPP that was responsible for matter had parked that issue. Now, the ID, when she instructed Mr. Pariati that she must look into the matter, in my own understanding, would have been the extension of that investigation on the Blue Lights. But as it turned out, because of what happened in relation to the allegations of the leak, my understanding is that even that issue was never taken up.
Can be that you believed that it is an extension of that investigation. The DDPP has taken a position how he's going to handle that matter. This investigation arises on your words, and I think Ms. Ramsame's words. It is the ID says, find me dead on this person. It's not, it's in fact an investigation for ulterior purposes, not for the original purpose of the Blue Lights. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with, he gave the minister, the ID, heebie-jeebies. I can't think of another word, sorry. Ms. Ramsame said, that's what the ID said. I don't like this guy, he gave me the heebie-jeebies, and then you say, oh, don't actually send stuff to him because I don't trust him. And then she says, find me stuff about him. So that has nothing to do with your Blue Lights investigation, and you must accept that. It is because the ID is looking for something on him that will enable, according to her, warn the minister that you do not trust him. So I'm sorry, the answer is not your explanation now that, well, it was a resuscitation. It's not, that's not what happened here. Can we please accept that?
Commissioner, I would concede based on what you are saying to me now. But at the time, that's how I honestly looked at it.
Maybe let me ask you a last question. At this point, what was the nature of your relationship with the ID that hopefully provides an explanation of your posture when she's doing clearly things that are wrong? Because it is wrong, this investigation. And that's not me saying there was no merit in the blue lights thing that you've decided to park against him. I'm talking about here what I say, the motive had nothing to do with the blue lights, had with how she claims he made her feel, but also now she wants to warn the minister. For you not to say to the ID, no, that's wrong, we shouldn't be doing that, and you're the second in command at this point, your investigators report to you. What's the nature of your relationship at this point?
We've always had a good relationship with the ID. I cannot say that the relationship was strained or anything at that point in time.
There's nothing that precluded you saying to her, maybe we shouldn't do this investigation now that we are starting. I was being helpful only for purpose of communication, but now that you're speaking about investigating him, I think it's wrong. It doesn't comply with our law. It's not anticipated in our mandate. Nothing stopped you saying that to her.
Nothing stopped me saying it, and I didn't say it.
Okay, thank you.
In with it. And that's what I did.
The problem with that is if you want to be a leader, which you are, you should not put up your hand to be appointed as a leader. If that's your attitude, you just should not put up your hand to be a leader. In fact, standing up to authority may even be expected of officials who are by far junior to you. So with you, it's worse.
And I accept that.
Yeah.
Chair, the last aspect that I wanted to canvass is